This is still Trekland HQ, and we are live. Star Trek premieres now and then. Yep, episode 294 of Trekland Tuesdays Live with me, Dr. Trek, Larry Nemechek, coming at you right here once again from the heart of Trekland through Portal 47. Your own very own Trekland Trek with me every week in a small way. Hey, for some clarity, sanity, and the big picture in everything Star Trek. I'm so glad to be back with you again for another Tuesday. Hope everyone is hanging in there. Hope everyone is with me. There we go. Of course, everybody's excited. Look, the actual premiere of Picard, this hiatus has felt like an eternity. Maybe it's felt like an eternity because I keep trying to figure out what to talk about. Although we all know that Star Trek is far much bigger. It's far bigger than any one individual series. Come on, it's 2023. We don't hang our hat on any one series. We're just happy to find one series to hang our hat on. Oops, did I say that? No. It's a totally different landscape than it was a few years ago. And right now, the focus of the moment, it's only been helped by this hiatus of 7 weeks since the end of Prodigy. Prodigy ended with a bang and was still shocking people. And if you still haven't watched Prodigy, you need to watch it because it's not just for kids anymore, if it ever was. But nope, we're back to live action. We're back to the finale season, supposedly, of Picard, or is it for all these characters? Who knows? But on top of the excitement for a TNG reunion, we've had 7 weeks to stoke the fear. So yeah, people are talking now. We'll see in a little bit that maybe, I don't know how much talking is actually going on, but in some circles, things are spinning out of control. And yes, if you are one of the 47 people left in America who didn't know someone with screeners, apparently, you're going to be excited for that premiere on February 16th. Okay, Paramount Plus, Paramount Global, Amazon Prime around the world, yes. February 16th and then 17th for the globalists. Star Trek Picard Season 3 with this huge TNG cast reunion that we've been hearing about. The bits and drips are drabbling out here. Now Todd Stashwick's character has a name, Captain Roth. So there we go. But what's funny is this week, a week earlier than the regular premiere, is the premiere, the red carpet premiere in Hollywood at the old Grauman's Chinese Theater. Which it's interesting because, well, I'll talk about that in a minute. But it brings to mind, as much as we'll have red carpety stuff and some previews inside and probably an after party, it brings to mind some of the previews of the past. Now, I'm sure it's all going to be live streamed. All the hoopla they'll get the around the world attention. That's all going to be streaming, and even more so than it used to be. Streaming wasn't invented with the pandemic, especially for special events. It was a big deal. But now that everybody and their kindergarten kid can Zoom, every grandma and their great-grandson or daughter can do that, it's even more a factor. And it really brings to mind, I've got to me thinking about some of the premieres that I was privileged to go to or even read about. Because here's the first thing about premieres, gang. They're all about the moment. They're all in the hoopla of the moment. Really, what more for external world consumption? What is a premiere really for than to come up with some sound bites and now some video? Well, hey, I've just plunged in talking. Did I welcome everybody? I want to welcome all of our folks. A little red carpet moment here from me. Welcome all of our regular TTLers. And if you have found yourself here for the first time, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Make sure and sound off in the chat where you're from, what's happening, what language your Star Trek is dubbed into, what the weather report is, all the normal things. But we've got a great community here. And I'm going to talk on today's topic for a few minutes. Then I'll take a kind of a mini break, and then we'll come back and look at the Parrot Analytics TV streaming ratings. And then I will get to your chat. So don't be forlorn. when we don't get right into your chat questions. But bear in mind that if you're coming on YouTube, you're seeing everyone's as well as Twitch. If you're on Facebook, you're only seeing Facebook. Okay, just to say. And if you're only watching later on YouTube right now, you should try to join us live. No, yeah. The thing about premieres, it's funny. We're all excited. People finagle. People wrangle for a ticket to get in. And then the prize plum, of course, is the after party that not everyone at the premiere is going to. And then out front, of course, is the red carpet. And you've got the working entertainment press, and you've got what passes for the Star Trek. I mean, it's there, but it's not going to be the plum spots. You know, Variety and Hollywood Reporter and Entertainment Weekly or Entertainment Tonight, they're all going to get the prime spots, Deadline, whatever, and some of the tech entertainment places. They'll get the prime places and all that. But eventually, everyone will have their video. You'll see the sound bites. But my point here is you've seen pictures, and now the last few years watched virtual or even live streams or even YouTube. What does anybody remember about a premiere later? Once in a while, something actually makes news that is meant to last beyond a week. It's meant to last beyond the actual opening day of the actual thing when everybody can see it, either in a movie theater or streaming. But most of the time, premieres are not that big. They're all about the splash of the moment, which is where, sadly, 3/4 of journalism is all about the splash of the moment. Because, you know, we're all so long attention spanned now. But they are something. And of course, red carpets are all about people getting dandied up, and the women especially. Is that sexist? Where are the scants when you need them? That's all about that too. It's not, of course, with Star Trek, it's not just about the gowns and things. If anything else, Star Trek may be trying to do that to seem a little more mainstream. But no, it's all about the moments. And as time goes by, it's really about the pictures. I mean, the first premiere, I think, on my consciousness, and I was not there, was the big gala premiere for Star Trek the Motion Picture at the barely, what is it open? 3 years at the time? 3 years open National Air and Space Museum. So great branding. And it was a big deal. It was also a big deal unbeknownst to the time. And we have the photos. We have that shot of Gene and Majel and little Rod on Gene's shoulder. We have the picture of Leonard coming in with Nichelle and Grace Lee on each arm. We've got those pictures. We also have the story that got out later on that the infamously delayed, infamously running late, infamously you have to make this promised December 7th deadline date for the theaters, or else Paramount's paying a huge bonus penalty to the theaters. It's going to cost millions of dollars. So all the stories about racing to get the motion picture finished on time, with all the late visual effects slipped into the movies at the last second and not edited, which is why the movie felt so bloated in the beginning, including the fact that going to the charity premiere at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C., Robert Wise, the director, was traveling with the last piece of visual effects footage in his lap in a film can that he had to personally deliver to the projectionist that night to slip in at the right moment at the theater where the premiere party was. Well, okay, so the motion picture premiere is a little storied. The other ones kind of just blend in. There were pictures taken. Now, look, the Hollywood hoopla industry has grown a lot since the 80s, obviously. We have more pictures of Hollywood star presentations than we do of what we think of now as the premieres over the day. And of course, premieres are also two different critters here. You've got the movie premieres, which by history definition were more glamorous. And then you've got the TV premieres. Well, who even cared about a TV premiere back in the day outside of critics, cast and crew screening? Oh, look, there we are. We had our work. Yay. Okay, our series premiere. Nobody does a season premiere. It's the series premiere and da-da-da-da. And over the years, I'm sure there were movie premieres through the 80s. Who knows? I mean, there's got to be in the archives of Getty, in the archives of Variety, in the LA Times, whatever. There's probably premiere pictures. You know, in the old days, in the glamour days, we had the newsreels, and you can find, you know, the arrivals coming out and grabbing some of the microphone. There were some infamous moments in those. Star Trek, I don't know, not so much. If anyone remembers an actual moment from especially an original series film or later ones, remind us. Let me know, because I'm really thinking the preponderance of these would have been almost TV premieres, which is where my memory kind of fades. We had just moved to LA, and actually, no, let me take that back. We had moved to LA in 94, and the Miss Next Generation's premiere cast screenings. The first one I physically saw was the Voyager, and it was a TV, but still, by this time you've got television critics being invited. The thing about Voyager's premiere, which was a combination of a cast and crew screening, I think, but I know the public one is the one you've seen the pictures of, when Sally Ride, the first American female astronaut in space, was a special guest. All three of the all the executive producers, so Michael Piller, Rick Berman, and Jerry Taylor, all took a turn at the podium. It was in the Paramount's own theater. Here's the thing. Here's the TV thing. The TV premiere of Voyager was a big deal, but it was just on the Paramount lot. Now, it was at the only couple of years old by then, year-old big Paramount theater with the yard in front where you could throw tents of food and things. It was a rainy night because they had to put up the tents just to keep everybody dry. I especially remember that I was excited because it was my first time to be at a Star Trek premiere of any kind since we'd lived in LA. And yeah, I missed the whatever hoopla was made for DS9. But Voyager was not only the new series, it was the new series led by a woman, and it was the first network flagship show of UPN. So it was a lot of extra hoo-ha. And they had the outdoor tents, and I did get pictures. I got pictures of the cast inside on the stairs when they took them. And I also remember it was the night that I was rushing to get to a con, and I took my film to a new cheap overnight delivery place. And as I got the photos and I was racing over to Burbank Airport to get on the plane, I know, pre 9/11, I barely got on the plane. But the film lab had been some cheap place where they had not changed out the chemistry, and my pictures, they all went blue. I have tried over the years to try to color correct, and if there was some kind of stable algorithm that would work. I think it was just all over the map. They're all there. They're just, and of course, I never went back to that place. It was gone within a couple of years, but it was like this really important moment that you can't recreate. I had one or two good pictures of the cast all standing on. So the Voyager cast looking very young and all that. So I was determined never to use that place again. And then a couple of years later, so 7 years later, when Enterprise debuted with a daytime TCA, Television Critics Association, screening and panel before the premiere and a red carpet. I have tons of great pictures of Enterprise. And I don't say that mockingly. I love everybody from Enterprise. I was bound determined not to relive that. But meanwhile, there had been the TNG movies premiered. And again, the moments don't really live beyond the immediate moment of the time. But I do remember not so much the American debut, but it was a big hoopla for generations to be in England. There's a huge attached long story to this, but of course it's in those days you had to wait 4 months, 6 months to get overseas openings. And the London was hooked in with a convention that was a 3-day convention at the Royal Albert Hall, which was a big thing on its own. I just remember being close to the inside of this. My friend Eric Stillwell co-produced this with a guy who no one knew at the time was going to wind up going to prison for being a fraud later. But at the time, it all went off. This one in the next edition. It was the third one that we weren't involved with at all that wound up getting Mr. Jenkins in trouble. But at the beginning, all the cast, including Shatner, were sent over to London for this convention. And at the UK equivalents of Paramount, UIC, who was it? Back in the day, just piggybacked having a big red carpet. They didn't have to pay all the first class tickets to fly everybody over. It was a little bit of annoying. But what it did turn into be was in Leicester Square, a big opening with the cast and Shatner and director David Carson all on stage, which I have kind of a picture of. But there were some press events which were so the lighting was so bad that you had pictures of everybody talking and they're in shadow. It was horrible. No one was thinking. Brit PR people, come on. They've upped their game since, I can tell you that. But it was amazing. And to have cabs, I didn't know what was happening, and to have cabs pull up, and we got out for the screening, the premiere screening, having to walk the red carpet and having people go, oh, who's that? Who's that? Oh, it's nobody. Our carload getting out and going up, which, of course, there's no pictures of that moment. So I have no pictures of me getting out of a car to go down a red carpet in London, but I'll never forget all the fans pressed up against the metal grates, the metal railings. That was kind of an awesome moment. It was just the same old movie. And then the after party was amazing, although it was that kind of the very undemocratic. The special guests are up in a balcony, not even a VIP area, and then the dancing disco down here. I want to say it was the Hammersmith, but yeah. I was like, well, it'd be nice to see some fans, but we're all segregated up here. That was kind of a memorable to me, and I'm sure the fans that were there. But in the big scheme of Star Trek history, not so much. And of course, the first contact was awesome because so many people were working on it, and it was my wife Janet's only screen credit back in the day. Now, she would have had her name up every week, but back in the day, no, the assistant script coordinators did not get that. So yeah, premieres, and then we bop along. So I never saw a premiere for any of the JJ movies, any of the Kelvinverse movies. I remember the shutdown on Hollywood Boulevard, where to make a big splash for Star Trek 09, which was Paramount gunning up to, here's the new era, everybody. Here, excuse me, we've already reinvented Star Trek, and it's already a completely new thing, and pumping all this money into, well, they couldn't pump any money into licensing because Bad Robot was going to release everything 6 months later because they were master marketing geniuses. Long saga. We'll talk about that someday. I'm so glad it's all come to light, though, and I didn't have to sit on this. But the spectacle of the premiere was amazing, that they had Hollywood with a Delta on the street, and the lines around, it was like an Oscars or an Emmys red carpet with the fans in a bullpen, and that's something that's been picked up since. Huge, the photos, unending, big spectacle for 09's premiere. Accompanied with around the world tours to open up the global markets, which was amazing. I don't know how many stops, 15, 20 stops, all through the Asian markets, and across Europe eventually. But a big push in Asia for Star Trek for that. But those were all, splintered up premieres. It's almost like the one of those Kelvin movies, almost like the LA Hollywood premiere was an afterthought. They were opening in Australia and Japan, the Philippines and China, all over before they ever had the openings in the States. My memory serves. One of those. Of course, the world premiere for Beyond was at Comic-Con San Diego, which was turned into a huge public event. It was outdoors on the bay with a live orchestra with Conan O'Brien doing red. It was it's a shame that Beyond didn't seem to suck up box office numbers over that. All intents and purposes, Beyond might have been the best one of the Kelvins and had the lowest box office. So go figure. But that brings us back around to the TV shows. And of course, Discovery was the first Star Trek premiere in Hollywood of a series since 2001. So 16 years later, it was a very big deal. And at the Cinerama Dome, which is very cool. And we were there. This idea that you'll see this week of having a ton of invited fans, especially LA fans, maybe some if they wanted to fly themselves in and had access, but having a fan bullpen down there, to cheer and yell and be local color, and everybody coming some kind of costume cosplay. That's been a recent thing, and they were just getting off the ground because they were building up Discovery and the streaming service, and this another change, another paradigm shift. And to me personally, what it was they did reach in and bring back a lot of legacy folks, but a lot of legacy folks that certain powers that be made sure that a lot of us that worked in the Berman years on the shows just adjacent were there, and it was a wonderful little reunion. I have photos with, in fact, it was the last time I had a photo with April, who was a producer, had started off as a PA on the show and died very, very sick, had a cancer diagnosis midway through, worked on Picard and Strange New Worlds even, and died and got the full title card mention. But I'm so proud, precious to have those photos and a moment to say hi over the years. But a lot more people beyond that. It was just a wonderful reunion. It was part of the feel good, even though you had plenty of issues, many of us, with Discovery, or, okay, that's a growing pain. That's going to get fixed. Okay. But just to have Star Trek back and to have something in LA, and having had that all shot in Toronto and been robbed of Star Trek in LA, where God intended it to be made, having the premiere back in LA because it was close to everybody. All the writers and actors were really in LA still. That felt good. That felt really, really good to have that, and then an old school after party after that, and to just get off the ground, meeting a lot of folks that I hadn't had a chance to meet. And then the Picard premiere, same place, Cinerama Dome, same thing. Just a great, even with even more of a feel, and to see, if Bob Justman had still been alive, he would have been there. Rick Berman was there. Shout out to, because of the Next Generation roots here, it was a different vibe. And Picard was made in LA's greater areas. There was a lot of flavor there. Of course, within 3 weeks, we had COVID. And so the COVID era of these things, everything went digital. And the era of the digital premieres, which on one hand became a lot more small-d democratic, it was online. It was almost nothing to get on a list, wrangle a code, share them widely. You have to worry about, people only saw what the studio wanted you to see. There was no chance of spoilers or leakers. And there was no crowd management, no overhead, no venue to rent, no security, and no PR people tearing their hair out, or their heads, over the whole thing. The logistics, the overhead was nothing to do virtual once everybody got to streaming. And then you had the coming out of the gate ones like the Prodigy, the Lower Decks premiere, the virtual ones where maybe a few people of the crews who were already in a pod got together on camera. They weren't painful, but they were just made you realize how much we were missing out on. You saw what Star Trek Day was like as a virtual project. A lot of you did. It was the same way a lot of these. I just never forget I didn't get to go, but the outdoor lawn chairs, everybody being socially distant with a small audience of 12, 15, 20 over in North Hollywood for an outdoor screener for Lower Decks. Was that season 2? Anyway, that's why it's, and then our Prodigy box back there for Prodigy, and I've got a Picard season 2 premiere box, trying to bring the live goodie bag flavor excitement to people virtually. And through the pandemic, it was a whole new look for a premiere. So this has been, and even Strange New Worlds kind of was still in that mode. So this week for Picard season 3 is, we've gone through the tunnel and come out the other side. It's still going to be, it's still going to be a cautionary tale, but you'll be seeing photos and video of people actually on a red carpet, actually being asked questions. For whatever good anybody will care in 2 weeks' time, that's beyond the point. Once again, I don't know how is everybody? Are you on the edge now? There is going to be a charity tied-in event next week, early in the week in New York. So yes, East Coast, you're getting a little bit of that, and that's been part of this with the streaming series, especially the live actions. There's been an attempt to try to remember that we've got 2 coasts here, and the CBS basedness of everything in New York and shot in Toronto, that lends some weight to having some New York premieres. But you can't. I mean, Picard was shot here, so there's that. But even for Strange New and for Discovery, as said the first year, the thing about it's not even so much about the sound bites as it's been some of the pictures. I will say this: when you've had something like the Discovery season 1 premiere, which was not just season 1 of Discovery, it was the first small screen Star Trek in 12 years, in 14 years to premiere, 01, 05, yeah, 16 years to have a premiere and get everybody excited and juiced that, haha, see, Star Trek is still alive. No matter how you critique it, we're here, we're making a splash. And you were still able in 2017 to have photos of history, such as Nichelle, right there with Michael Burnham. You come away sometimes with those iconic images, like the dedication of the building, which was not a movie or TV premiere, but the dedication of the Roddenberry building with Gene posing with everybody, all the actors, all the notables. You come away with those snapshots for the ages. And even sometimes you forget 20 years later, 30 years later, 50 years later, you're looking at this photo and maybe you forget exactly what the occasion was. But yeah, Sonequa and Nichelle, they're together, having one generation with another generation of cast or creators or you name it, what have you. This is going to be poignant. We'll see how many visuals we get with Dave Blass's all-star art team on hand once again, and even more in the mix of things than they were for season 2 with the Titan versus the Stargazer, and just all the graphics all down the line. But then again, art people are notoriously behind the scenes, below the line folks are notoriously left out of the glam of premieres. It's cast, no matter how tiny the role was, and that's fine. And of course, all the top dogs, all the executive producers and writers and all that. But visual effects, editors, costumers, set design, art, all those folks, they tend to, sadly, which I don't agree with. And of all the projects and titles and franchises, Star Trek, those folks are stars too. But sometimes the promotional machinery doesn't get that memo. Hopefully, on the long run, long after the promotional people have retired, those creatives are being celebrated by fans, and they're getting payback, provided they're invited to conventions, and they get to make a little something out of what they've given, the enjoyment they've given to fandom, and many times to TV and movie history. They get a little payback on that end. That's one of the unfair things about premieres, having to beg for a ticket to get in when what they do is already being celebrated, much less in the years to come. So yeah, that's what comes to mind this week when I see everybody being so excited for the Picard. We're still getting excited about premieres in general after the pandemic, but laughing to myself, smiling to myself, how almost no one will care about this in maybe 2 weeks' time. But for right now, now's the time, now's the moment. And of course, that's the most important thing in the world this week. And getting off to a good start, right? Getting off to a good start with Picard season, which I don't know how that could not happen. You've already seen a lot of the praise. And I mean, I hesitate not to raise the bar too high for anybody. But it's true. All right. And yes, New Yorkers, East Coasters are going to have, there's a charity involved screening next week that's actually got its own amount of hoopla that we'll get back to in a second. So, what do you think? Where's everybody's heads? For a lot of people, and I know this, a lot of people aren't privy to any of this. You'll get the spillover. You'll get the quotes and the video and the expectation. That's doing what it's supposed to do. It's getting everybody stoked for February 16th here in the States on Paramount Plus, and on the 17th at Amazon Prime in most of the rest of the world. Your mileage may vary, and I bet if we have some of our global TTLers and Portales and everybody else around the world, they'll sound off too. So, what do you think? Where are you? A lot of folks are having local screenings. There's the one, yes, I know Dr. Day's with us today. There's the one in Phoenix. There's one in New York. On now, not premieres, not advanced screenings, but screening parties. There's LA Away Team has got one going here in LA. I bet there's some more going on. And maybe you're just having a premiere party in your house on Thursday night or Friday night, depending on how far we're reaching today. So let us know. Let us know where you are, how excited you are, what's the latest gossip rumor. What maybe I can help with that. Maybe I won't. So we'll get to that in just a second. Now, if you're leaving us right now, if you're later on YouTube, don't worry. Go ahead. Leave some comments below too. Leave comments about what you're doing and if any, what you're attending, how you're celebrating, no matter where you are in the world, how you're celebrating the return of Picard. And of all the Trek series, I kid about Discovery, Picard may be the one that feels the most different from season to season. Once the history books are done, we'll see. We'll see. But right now, everybody's excited about this and to see all their favorites. So much excitement going on, and we'll look at that. We'll look at that next week too. just so some of the activity around the world is marked, and some of the sidebar reactions in preparation is going to be preparations of all kinds. I think is going to be our theme next week. So yes. Hang on, leave your comments in the chat. We'll get to it. But first, I want to, of course, thank all of our TTLers and our live wires on Patreon. Diana Hopkins, Robin Wilson, Lawrence Todd, Anne-Marie Siegel, Justin Porteous, Galinda Bruton, Chris Jiggins, welcome to the Patreon, Chris, Andrew Jazimski, Pranakasha Productions, and Gay Clevin Lundstrom. And our live wires, Hubbard Gunn Johnson, Robert McLean, Alan Hoensi, J.R. Poole, Byron Bailey, Dave Gregory, and Casey Shafsky. Thanks so much, everybody, for helping out. You saw our guests last week. We're going to be pulling more new things this year. If you'd like to help out, it's very simple. I keep Patreon very simple. Patreon.com/Trekland Live. $5 or $10. You can go more than that if you want to. But for the shout outs, and we've about got the portal ready for the guest interviews from over the years. The early ones from Portal 47, which nobody but the Portales really has seen. So thanks, guys, for all that. Guys, gals, and peeps. We say, try us out at Patreon. They do that at the end of the year. It's very easy. The clock is ticking, though, and I'm going to say this one is gone. If you're in LA for the cruise, or if you're just in SoCal in general, come by, join us for a day tour of classic Star Trek location sites. I offer this as a concierge, Trekland Treks, but occasionally we do a specified, preset, slightly cheaper group tour. That's what the LA Away Days are. That's what this is, a special cruise edition for all the folks around the world who are in LA. Unusually, because the cruise usually leaves from Florida the first 5 editions, but cruise number 6 is leaving from LA, and thus this. So get in touch with me. LarryNemechek.com is where you can still find the info on that. Also get in my list because you want to be in for all the stuff, the polls and the newsletters and the news. The thing I announced last week, I want to make sure everybody knows, Virtual TrekCon 4 is coming. It's actually Thursday through Monday, the 16th through the 20th, in just a couple of weeks, too. It'll be, for those in the States, it'll be a very long edition of President's Day weekend. But here's the thing. Yeah, we're having a reunion. Our first post end of the podcast special video live with chat, just like the old days. We have a 90-minute life support live segment. Dr. Ali and Dr. Trek back together again, and one of us is only still a real doctor. That'll be the day after the Picard premiere, so we can incorporate Picard. We're working on our theme, but you can bet what's going to be fresh and top of mind for the 2 doctors. I'm so excited. Finally, we've been able to, as we promised, we're not live yet, but virtual is the way most people experience life support live. So very excited for this. It's been since last May that we ended the podcast after 2 years of pandemic. So Very excited for that at 11:30 on Friday the 17th. Here's the other thing that I don't even have a graphic for yet. I've got Virtual TrekCon, a noon Pacific panel with my colleagues, Lolita Faggio, and yes, Miss Janet herself are all going to have a virtual panel at noon on Thursday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, 8 p.m. UK time, 9 p.m. Then our life support panel, Ali and I are on at 11:30 a.m. All right, 2:30 Eastern. And then Sunday night, the Lappy Awards, the Live Long and Prosper Awards, are going great guns all day Sunday. And then I'm back in the wrap-up show late Sunday night on that, 9 or 9:30, something like that. And then, not announced anywhere yet, the great Terrace Cassidy and I are going to do a virtual panel, about location filming sites and some tips and breadcrumbs that you can do if you're not able to join, or until you can join the big show that he and I do, which has now been moved. I can say we've moved back to 2023 just because a lot of things did not quite come together, but it's the same plan. 10 days, LA and San Francisco Star Trek film sites. More's coming on that, but just so you wonder what happened. But regardless of the year, Terrace and I talk about tour memories, location site info, some tips for you. That's going to be at 1 Pacific, 4 Eastern on Monday. Why am I not doing something on Saturday? Because Saturday I'm live down at Gallifrey. Gallifrey won the Doctor Who annual convention, which is still in half-scale mode coming out of the pandemic. And if you're there live, good luck. Congratulations on getting in, because it's really limited admission, even though it's 2,500 people. And 3 o'clock, I'm on the Token Trek panel. It's still scaled down. So next week is going to be crazy. Next week's going to be crazy. And in the middle of all that, I think we are going to be seeing Cadet Alice and get some new Prodigy Cadet Alice and Dr. Trek shows recorded. So yeah. So Picard premiere. Okay, I'll see you that and raise you 6 things happening next week. It's crazy. I think it's like slam. Okay, we're out of the pandemic, so everybody behave. Everybody behave. And of course, on top of all those goodies, a new Trek Files is up today. Over there at our site, the Trek Files on Facebook, is where you can get the documents, as well as, and it's a doozy document this week, as well as the podcast. The audio you can get anywhere. Podcast.roddenberry.com has all the Roddenberry places. We are blessed to have the great Dave Blass back with this production designer on Picard season 2 and 3. And we're talking about the times when artists help writers make their creative decisions, with a memo from the early days, Roots, Tia G, debating who's going to sit where on the bridge and what the bridge positions are going to be. You don't want to miss that one either. So check it out. Check it out at Facebook or wherever fine podcasts are caught. That's going to do it for me. Going to take a quick break here. If you're leaving us on YouTube, try to join us back someday live if you can. If you're on vacation on the holidays, love to see you here on Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday evening, depending on your continent. Otherwise, you can always find me on Facebook at Larry Nemechek's Trekland. Same thing for our Instagram and YouTube. Like and subscribe, please. Our Twitter, I'm still there. And Mastodon is at Larry Nemechek. And Portal47.net is, your mini-con all year long. No more post-con blues, no more post-cruise blues. We have guests and fan stuff all year long, and you can pick my brain almost anytime. Even more so than here on Tuesdays Live. But it's great to see everybody around the country. So we're going to take a quick break. I'll be right back. If you're leaving us now, just remember, stay healthy. Do all the things. I hope we're navigating this correctly. Stay woke. Check your sources. It's going to get thick. We're not out of these woods yet. It's so easy to divide people by the fake news. It's so easy to divide people by not telling you all the truth about history. Come on, you're a Trek fan. Trek well. Alrighty, let's do some very quick parrot analytics looks, and then I want to dive into this chat. I can't wait to see what we've stirred up. But the thing about the parrots, once again, on the main site, they have not posted any updates to, their weekly numbers that we've been following since the dawn of discovery now for over 5 years. Parrot Analytics out of New Zealand, now marketing, now scanning the world's media, internet, for several countries, several markets, to basically try to replace the old Nielsen terrestrial ratings that were used to set ad rates, and they were public. Well, the streamers don't make their numbers public unless it's to their advantage to brag about something. But with so much peak TV, although we're starting to see some shrinkage now. And Parrot's also been good about looking at industry trends. We should look at some of their things again. Some of their reports and their data reports. But the core of their whole process is the algorithm, is the data point they call an average demand expression, which is scraping the internet for fans, for critics, for studio promo to see what's getting talked about, what's the buzz. And we've been following it as a hands-on thing. And when live action Star Trek is fresh, it's been in the top 10 in the US at least. They measure countries around the world. This has all been free on their site. They occasionally will sell it off for other ones. Now, TV Geek is a website that apparently has made a deal with them because the results are going there for pay faster than they seem to get to their actual website, which has been laggy. So I've been saying, well, there's nothing new posted since December 20th that we've already seen. However, over at TV Geek, they're using Parrot Analytics data, and there we're seeing the actual really incremental, almost day by day peak demand waves. I'm looking at Picard right now, up to date. They're saying right now for the last 7 days, week, that their demand score has been 33.4. Now, remember, you get a range. I'm not even going to deal with the top 10s this week because we don't have them in the normal way, but they tend to range from 70 or 80 or 90 for the number one show of this average demand expression factor times the average show in the middle of the 500 or 600 that they're ranking. And the top 5% are exceptional, and the top 2.5% are outstanding below that. So Picard right now is trending at 33.4, which is good. It's the rank they're saying at peak demand was at number 54, which seems odd to me. They're still in the exceptional upper 2.5%. So there is that. The trend has been down slightly. And again, what they're measuring here is the online buzz. So are people not hashtagging Picard comments? Has the buzz, did it really peak on January 29th and it's been down a little since then? How much are you online looking? It's still exceptional. It's the peak demand is at 40 times the normal average show. The average demand is at 33, which is a whole interesting thing. And the trend has been down a little bit, which is wacky. And of course, the minute it premieres, then people actually have something to talk about. This whole notion of something trending before, well, that's the most obvious. That's great. And then within that realm of who's getting buzz before they've even premiered, if you're up and down a little, up a little, down a little, it's all relative. So yeah, Picard right now, 2 weeks before premiere, is sitting with an average demand score of 33.4, which is peaking at 40. Now, just to look at a couple of old, dried up, cold fish Star Treks. So Strange New Worlds is obviously off the grid, although people are still buzzing about it, and it'll be the next in line in queue. Its demand score is at 18, which is still in the outstanding in that upper 2.5%. Its demand has been falling, but then the last week took a spike. So what's that about? What was the Strange New World interest that, it was from 18.9 to peaking at 19.3, so still below that. Hey, Prodigy ended so strong, it was the last. It's kind of flatlined. And, the animated series, especially Prodigy, being on Nickelodeon, are going to have this interesting characteristic that's different from the live action shows because the animateds are meant to be watched in perpetuity, even though there's a lineal story to Prodigy, even more so than Lower Decks. So we'll see what that looks like. But just so you know, Prodigy's demand score is 14.6. It's in the outstanding upper 2.7%, I should say. And it peaks at 14.3. So, Prodigy here the last few days has been at 14.6, and Strange New Worlds has been at 18.9 times the average show's popularity. So I know some of this is just mumbo jumbo gibberish, but it is a tool, it is a metric to compare apples to oranges a little bit with. So the trend lines for both Strange New Worlds and Prodigy is up, or at least flat. The Picard is down a little bit, down 3.3 in the last 7 days, but I think that's just peak going down a little. It's going to pick back up again with all the hoopla. Speaking of premieres, of all of this, that's what it's for, the promotional activity to spike interest in Picard. And not that you have to, the natural storyline is the TNG reunion. So that's piqued anybody who is a TNG fan is really invested in this whole thing. You may watch 1 or 2 shows and not like it, but getting out of the gate, getting you in and hooked, and even so much for the 2 streamers involved, Paramount Plus and then Prime around the world, getting you to sign in beyond a freebie maybe and watch is of paramount importance there. So that's what the parrots are saying, even though we have to go to TV Geek to see now. That's what the parrots are saying on the up and up. Oh, one more event coming up I want to let you know about. Timestamp here. I'm very proud, as you've heard, if you've heard of the founding, and if you haven't heard, I am proud to be on the advisory board for the Nichelle Nichols Foundation, which, while it's fundraising and helping to support young people, women, minorities, people of color, young folks coming out of college or getting into college or getting into good high schools, just trying to level the playing field for echoing everything that Nichelle Nichols was about and her character Uhura was about, including things such as broadening the base of the astronaut corps and recruiting women and minorities then. That's real world activity that she really had an impact on, as well as all the rest, business, communications of all kinds. The speaker series is going to be a monthly, and yes, virtual for now, aspect of this, aside from building up the bank to be able to help people financially. Had started off with the author and illustrator of the book recently, To Boldly Go, a child's book about Nichelle Nichols and Uhura and Star Trek and its impact on social justice. Our new speaker, second speaker, is coming up. Oh, it's a panel, actually. So write this down. February 12th, Sunday, this Sunday, at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, 6 UK time, 7 Central Europe. This is a free virtual event. Hailing Frequencies Open is the name of the series. We're going to have speakers, hopefully monthly at least. And this month, it's what inspired panelists on the panel to take a career as a scientist. So if you've got young people, aside from just fans, this might be really good to them. And the moderator, the host, is none other than Dawn Lewis, who, yes, is the actress and voice of our own Captain Carol Freeman on Lower Decks. So Dawn Lewis is the moderator. The panelists are Dr. Kara Brugman, experimental petrologist, Dr. Ron Gamble Jr., an astrophysicist, Dr. Adel Gonzalez Cerricho, scientist and educator, Dr. David Williams, I'm very proud to see on this panel, research professor in space at Arizona State, works on a lot of JPL NASA-related projects from there, and Naya Butler-Craig, PhD, a student in aerospace engineering. So really good lineup there. What possessed all of them? What was their inspiration from Star Trek to go into all those various fields of the sciences with Dawn Lewis as the moderator? So be looking for that, 10 a.m. Pacific this Sunday, February 12th. Get a jump on all the excitement of the next weekend with this latest, our second Hailing Frequencies Open panel speaker series from the Nichelle Nichols Foundation. All right. I think it's time to hit the chat, gang. Let's bounce back and see what everybody is up to. As usual, I can tell already helpful people are putting links in the chat there. Let's see what everybody's up to. I am back scrolling. Greg. Boom. Hi, Greg. Is this your first time with us? If not, if you've been lurking, that's cool. If it is first, or if I'm overlooking and we've talked before, sorry, but that seems like you're a newer name. So welcome into the mix. Welcome to everybody, by the way, obviously. If you've got an actual question, I love those. I can't help sometimes the conversation veering off. That's part of the charm of Tuesday Live, especially when you wait so long to get the chat. It's a little bit different critter there, but I'm hoping everybody's having a good Tuesday today. Oh, okay. Frage plays. Gonna come in from Twitch. Okay, thank you. The Twitch numbers are actually up to like 8 people. I've noticed last time. So there's that. Hey, Michael Sean Carter. I think this is your first time with us, but Maximum Trek. That sounds like a podcast. Feel free to speak up if it is, but welcome over to Tuesdays Live. Yay, yay, yay. Let's see. Yeah, that was friend Frage back there from Star Trek Unlimited coming in on the Twitch. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, if I just keep reading half the time, first time listener, long time viewer. Really? Okay. Is that a live versus after the fact thing? Okay. Very good. Glad you're here. And everybody's here. So here's Adam's here, and hey, Kyle's here. Yay, Kyle. Thank you. Kyle edits the edited version for me every week. So everybody, round of applause for Kyle there, and pokes at me when I need a good idea or two. Let's see what's going on. And speak of helpers, thank you once again, Scott, everybody, for all Scott does to help Trekland out here, especially the last couple of that. You'd think they could correct those negatives with a little current. I've tried. When we got into one step, talking about my botched, not my botched, but the cheap photo lab that wouldn't change out their chemicals or just made a mistake. Yeah. I've tried ever since we got the one-touch Photoshop color editing, or at least 5 or 6 steps. Maybe I should get them out and try again and see what the state is. Oh, I was so mad. I was so mad that night because I had and they were slides. They weren't prints. So you had to scan the slide, right, to play with it. I was just so mad that I was walking this convention with, look, everybody, I've got, and this is before internet 24/7. This is January 1995. And if you were on the web, you were baby steps web. And I was going to have hot off the press slides to show everybody, and they were like unusable, all but 1 or 2. I was so pissed. So pissed. And what are you going to do? Go back and threaten them? Give me my money back. Okay, well, fine, but that doesn't get my images back. Oh, I was so angry. I didn't want to bring down our premiere Picard week going into how pissed I was. Oh, yeah. You're welcome, Mom. All the little yellow Photomat booths in shopping centers. Well, Photomat was the expensive one because they were branded in the chain, but you'd go into your drugstore would have the 2 tiers, right? The regular wait on it 5 or 6 days, or overnight. Overnight was what, 20 or 25 bucks versus the $4 or $5 to wait a week. Yeah. When we started being herded and manipulated into not accepting a normal delay, had to have it now, or overnight anyway. You still have a Photomat, but now it's a drive-up coffee kiosk. Yeah. Yeah. Melanie, I'm trying to understand. You miss your kitty Cisco. Aw. Helps to know that you're not alone in the world. Yeah. I get it. Okay. Well, yes. R.I.P. Sweet Cisco. Sorry for your furry loss there. Okay. See, and hi, Lance. Yeah, I jumped into this and I realized I should have done some research, but I do remember thinking how bizarre they were. But I mean, it was strategic. They didn't have to worry about the ego of people in LA. They were trying to open up some new markets, and I'm all for that. It's like, I don't care. You're trying to bring Star Trek to the rest of the world. Now, Australia is a big Trek market. After the US and Canada, it's the UK, Germany, and Australia per capita. Numbers in per capita are the hugest markets, but they were never understood why not Japan, why not more of the Far East for Star Trek. But that's what they were working on. That's one thing. A lot of the budget muscle went into promotion on '09, and that huge round the world, Singapore and it was Dubai and all the places that everybody thinks of now as global capitals. They were trying to get Star Trek into. Of course, it was good old. Wasn't purely for the good of Star Trek. There was a little capitalist intent, I think, in there for the stock owners of Paramount. But there you go. There you go. Or lovely, moody black and white. I know. And then you go back in and you try to colorize the black and white. See, I guess that's what we do. You got to tear it down before you can build it back up. So hello, Rose. Glad you're with us once again. Cairo, that's it. You're out of here. I do not tolerate competition. What other stream could possibly be? Mm-hmm. Well, I understand Cairo, but at least you're in a time when you can actually watch them happen and not have to watch photos and clips later on. But hey, you're talking to a kid who grew up in Oklahoma, never thought I would go to a convention. That's what LA and New York were for. How would I ever get there? That's why I loved the old Starland and StarCon conventions from Steve Walker and Kathy Walker in Denver, because Denver was only 12 hours away. That was like in the realm of the doable until, until my world eventually developed. And there you go, May. You were at the Picard premiere. So much fun. So before COVID hit. Yeah. It's like the iceberg that no one saw coming. Yikes. We were all just blithely going along with our things. And Picard, we also had LAOA team had a premiere party for Picard too that we had crammed full. Scott, you remember a lot of folks were at that San Diego Comic-Con, whether you were in SoCal already or you were down in town for Comic-Con. It was the Wednesday before. Was that premiere night normally of Wednesday night before the Thursday? I think it was, with a full cast there and Conan O'Brien live doing the bit. And there you go. Small group of friends were allowed in the crowd for the '09 JJ movie. It was certainly fun. There you go. Hey, Mohammed Scud, glad you can hang with us today. Everybody, the great Mohammed Noor, science consultant, biology science consultant to the modern Star Treks. And he's probably going to correct me on some of my virtual TrekCon info there too when we get to it. Let's see. What are you saying here, Cairo? You're slowly getting to the state where you hear so many people seeing the first episode before us normals that I stopped being slightly more angry about others that brag about. Well, see, this is a point. This doesn't make me happy either. I know it's interesting how producer, studio, powers that be, go from protecting spoilers to preserve the big splash, the reveals, the excitement of that without having it be diluted, right? But then there are people with licensees doing action figures and books and magazine writing, and journalists who legitimately are going to be covering this and not leaving it all to the last minute to be able to do, to talkers. And then influencers who are going to influence. I'll never will forget the Picard season 2 premiere pop-up at the 10 Forward bar they built. I didn't mention that. Oh my gosh. So bizarre. The pop-up for the 10 Forward bar, and I looked around and there were about 6 media people there and all these young women. I didn't know who they were, and they were all influencers they were all Instagram influencers, probably some TikTokers. And it made sense. Like, good on Paramount for trying to drag in to expose, to sample a whole new audience that all of their viewers and readers and numbers represented. It seems silly, but they were trying anyway. So who knows how many came over and stuck. So that's it. That's the thing. But I will say that this time it seems like the screeners have gone off to an even bigger swath. And I'm thinking my old line about just because you've got an iPad doesn't make you a journalist. Just because you've got a camera doesn't make you a filmmaker. And just because you've got access to screeners doesn't make you the most mature handler of the spoiler formula. And I have seen people not even reluctantly bragging about it. I mean, part of the time they're excited for the show and they're wanting to share that. They just don't do it in a very palatable way. And I hear you, Cairo. I've seen some wince-inducing statements by people online. More Facebook than I would say anything else. And I look to see, and sometimes they're people I can understand how they might have had access, and sometimes they're just randos. So I'm sorry for that feeling. Just know that the professionals in the crowd are hopefully not doing that, and don't let it bring you down. Don't let crap like that on the side get to you. Let me see here. Oh, well, Narda, thank you. I bring these events to life. We bring events to life. It's an old General Electric jingle. Slightly. Apologies to GE, which you never hear me say otherwise. Let's see. You might be, Christoph says, you might be following too many half behind the scenes people too close. Yeah, no tailgating. That might help out. But thank you, Narda, for that. What now, Alan? Did not luck out for the season 3 Picard premiere. Closed once you found the link. Oh. Sorry, Alan. Absolutely looking forward to Picard season 3. The old gang together again, and some great conversation we had. I think it's different groups. Well, that's it. Again, the hoopla about this premiere will pass, and what's going to stick is going to be what we get out of the series, out of the episodes, out of the moments, out of the production design and the canon. Hey, Narda, you're really looking forward to Picard, but you're sad it's going to be the last one. You were so glad that back in the day you gave TNG a go. You loved the characters after a couple episodes. Wow, you loved the TNG characters after Naked Now, after Code of Honor. Well, then you were in there then. Okay. That's true, but it's may not be that there's things in the water. We'll see what actually happens. We've already seen how single individual characters can move on. Oh, good question, Christoph. Do you notice how I didn't even go there? Yes, I'm advising that it's a great show. And there's Galinda. Hey. And this is Anna M. Deorai. Okay. Well, hello. Glad you could make it. Hey, Gay, what are you saying here? Is there any chatter about what if anything will replace Picard? I know there's news of two new Dexter series announcements that came out yesterday. Well, I think it's all but been announced. I think it's out there in the tea leaves that Section 31 is back into some kind of production. Hasn't that been out there? Thought I heard that somewhere. Um thank you, Linda. I'm so glad you're in with us now. Tomorrow's European Day, by the way, my Euros. Tomorrow's Euro and midday. Anybody, if you want to come in midday, any of the Portales. Hey, Dominic. I'm glad to see you again. You feel that Tron was prophetic in saying that computers will start thinking and people will stop. In all seriousness, I do think it's more difficult. The Kelvin films did bug me, like when they made. Okay, I have to read the rest here. Long comments, remember, this happens too. Like when they made a Rollerball remake without the politics, they were mostly action with no politics, or the Twilight Zone thinky stuff. It bugged you that your young child was already loving Next Generation Voyager and they thought new fans needed little or no thinking. Okay. VTC. There you go. Hey, Dave, your local Greatest Gen group. I love how Greatest Gen's just an amazing experience. Had a premiere group watch for Disco and Picard season 1, but doesn't look like we're doing anything for season 3. There you go. Well, the world shifted since Picard season 1, and we're still kind of getting our bearing. No matter what people say, we're getting our bearings back. Thank you, Kyle. Hashtag life support live. Yes. And Galinda, thank you for your excitement. Little blue square back. Well, this is true, Cairo, and it's also at 11:30, which will be what 9 for you on the continent, or 8:30 for you on the continent. So certainly, you can squeeze in that hour of Picard before you come over and join us for Life Sport Live then. And then Khan, and then Spock said Khan. Yeah, well, Carl Urban was an incredible McCoy too. Aw, Linda. Trekland and VTC mashup. LSL will always be your favorite part of the pandemic. Well, I hope the bar was low. I hope there were. I hope it was easy to be something that was a good part of the pandemic because there was so much bad. Yes, you beat me to it, although I beat you to it in the chat. European AD is tomorrow, the 8th. Yes. The 15th is guest night, and we've got. Can I advertise Portal 47 here? Our guest this month is Ellen Hornstein, who started off as a PA and then was a production assistant, PA for Late Voyager. I'm getting my years right. And then was a production assistant for the shows, and has worked in the industry since then. But she was a Berman era person. Her uncle was Marty Hornstein, who was the line producer for all 4 of the Next Gen movies. And she PA'd on Generations or First Contact, maybe First Contact, and then she went full-time to work on staff with the TV shows after that summer. So a very unique niche, a very entry level, but also memory-filled time we're going to have with Ellen, and also talk about her uncle Marty, who passed away a few years ago. Before I saw him and talked to him, and he was always kind of like, you don't interview, you know, he was an old school. What am I doing? Nobody cares what I do. I just push numbers around, and it's like, well, no, there's a lot of stuff involved, decision making and logistics and all that kind of stuff. So she's going to speak for her Uncle Marty and talk about what she did back in the day and what she works on now. That's the 15th. So yes, European Ask Dr. Trek is European and Midday America's is tomorrow, the 8th. I thought you would be piping up here, Mom. Virtual TrekCon 4 will be great. It's so awesome that Paramount Plus went ahead and decided to premiere Picard on one of your dates. I think, wasn't the date known? Yes. I thought you were going to say that Paramount Plus has been so cooperative. No, there's going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And a lot of Sunday is going to be taken up with the Live Long and Prosper Lappy Awards and that delightful after show. Thank you, Dave. Much love for Life Support Live. Yay, yay, yay. Yes. So I got Janet finally to guest again. Janet and I were a twofer at cons all through the 90s, all the time she worked on Voyager. But when she left not only Star Trek, but left the industry, she's like, she was like so many, everybody's heard this before. It's getting old. Nobody cares anymore. And I finally talked her into being a Portal guest 3 or 4 years ago. And then the next year, the Voyager documentary got going. And between Lolita and me, we didn't have to coax her back to very much. So Lolita coaxed her into doing this panel for Virtual TrekCon. So it'll be one of the first ones. It's one of the kickoffs of Thursday. So there you go. Very rare sight. And the world at large will see. The world at large will see her in the Voyager doc. She was in one of the trailers from Vegas last year that was shown. What is this? What is this? There's a guess the winners. If anyone wants to try to guess the Lappy Award winner and maybe win a prize for good guessing, you can. Well, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Noor, for sharing that one. I had not heard that. I will try to share that around. And you always thought Dr. Ali was a real doctor, Dr. Trey. He is a real doctor. Scott says, with Narda, you agree, you're sad to see it go, but thankful we got it. Yes, all 3 seasons. They're so different. I like to think of them as the World of Jean-Luc miniseries. That's a nice take, Scott. Still hoping some of these characters keep going. It sounds like there's these loud hints that they will, but we'll see. We'll see. I just want to keep Terry Metalis and Dave Blass working. Yes, I know, Cairo. A location film sites panel reminds me that you really should do a recording of your film sites talk and put it on YouTube. Yes, you should. Just don't give away too much, okay? Just don't overshare, okay? Just live a little for the rest of us. Yeah. Nothing like experiencing it in the flesh, full-time, real. Uh-oh. Steve, what are you saying? Steve Areno, can we go down to West Main Street in Ada for a DMC? Steve, can you still get a DMC? Is the Parkview still? Parkview is not still open. Can we go up to the trails or out to 4 Mile? Okay, everybody, I'm sorry, I'm indulging. Steve gets on here and I go back to college. Oh, a DMC, in case you didn't know, is a double meat cheeseburger. Steve, asked me the last time I had a double meat cheeseburger in real life. I'm still trying to get over my pandemic bump here. Is there a number? There isn't a number. It starts with P. Thank goodness. My pandemic poundage. Oh, but the memory's glorious. Glorious. Yep. Where tea was the only thing that was free then. You didn't get free Coke refills. They charged you for every little bottle of Coke they brought out and then would put in your glass. Because they didn't have a fountain. Parkview. Hey, Dominic, you're going to do a watch party on the Mission Log Discord channel. Very good. Cool. Thank you. Thank you, Linda. Cadet Alice is the best. I think so too. See here, you want to see what I'm going to do here? I think I can do this on the run. Boom. Okay, there's our Cadet Alice logo for everybody. And boom, we're back. Okay. Ooh, special effects right here, live. Now what did I do here? What did we miss here? Oh, I got down here. Yay, Trek Files. Thank you. Thank you, Mohammed. The latest being pretty interesting. Thank you, Dave. I think you mean the Trek Files? Yay. Not too many questions in the Facebook stream today. Maybe we're slowly weaning everybody over to YouTube, which is where I get more traction, actually. Oh, are you out of here then? Okay. Trek well then. Thank you. The Parrot's Needle. Hey, JR. Good to see you. Trekking well. Now, John X, the man who introduced me to the Parrots, can't wait for Picard. And yes, people do remember premieres. You remember the two you went to in person very well. Well, maybe I should have clarified. Obviously, when you go to a premiere, it's a personal experience. What I meant was, in the big picture, a premiere for the world at large. I mean, like, what it really goes into the archives. What's a historic moment? What's a moment for the ages? You know, sometimes when you see the really high end, like the Oscars red carpet or maybe the Emmys or something, there's a moment that happens that's impromptu and it's cute, and you've got celebrity star actors, you know, director personalities, and something cute happens, and it's one for the ages. Otherwise, most of the time, or something they say is controversial. Now that happens. Somebody puts their foot in their mouth big time, and then they spend 2 months getting over it, or maybe 2 years getting over it. I'm talking more about what really adds to our memory well. And most of the time, it's all just for the moment and goes away. With exceptions, and that's what I was after, the exceptions. But oh, yes, your personal memories, and it wasn't a premiere, but I still call it the May 20th event before Beyond, when Paramount tried to catapult. You know, Beyond was so late getting off the ground because they scrapped the first movie and script, and on like 9 months turned around a script and then shot it and then got it out, and they were way behind on promoting it, and they just did that huge promotional dump, which the biggest takeaway wound up being JJ saying, "Oh no, we're going to settle this. We're going to settle this fan film lawsuit thing," which he had no right to say, which didn't happen and did not happen that way. But it was like the big news out of the night. Even when they named Leonard Nimoy Way on the studio lot and took that big mass picture. That should have been the climax of the night. But no, the big takeaway from the night was that the Axanar the lawsuit was going to get settled. And it wasn't. So yes, you remember, but we had a round table at Lucy's, which apparently is now closed across the street. We lost our last old Hollywood, an old Star Trek Hollywood place. It looks like it's not going to get out of the pandemic. I'm just so sick about it. So anybody who ever got to Lucy's on our tours or that night, you have a very special moment there. And the Gene Roddenberry autograph photo on the wall in the back. So yeah, John, I wasn't trying to take away anybody's personal memories. I'm just talking about in the big picture for archival sense. May, am I going to pop over to the Shuttle Pod show this weekend in LA? If so, you're wearing your Dallas t-shirt. You know, I totally got blindsided by this. I should go yell at Connor or somebody or Don and see what's happening this weekend. This next weekend is so crazy. I'll have to check on that. I'm not planning to at the moment. I only got on my radar the last 2 or 3 or 4 days. You can't tell because I restocked it, but I'm actually finally attacking the archival box mess in this room that I didn't get to this year's Dead Week. This year's Dead Week was anything but dead. And I just made a Dead Week. So here before the storm of everything in a couple of weekends. But I'll check it out and see. I'll talk to somebody and see if I can get by. But thank you. Thank you for wearing your Cadet Alice t-shirt. That would be awesome. Scott. Be sure to catch the edited version of today. Yeah, maybe I'll bum Voyager ones that are skewed blue color that aren't preserved well. The Discovery premiere in 2019 in New York City. The second season, they had it in New York. Was particularly memorable, and a year before COVID. Yep. Yeah, the first season was in LA, so I remember that. The second season, they thought they would pamper New York. Of course, see, New York was where all the CBS people were totally officed then. Nothing was in LA then. And everybody that was out of Toronto could come down to New York. So it made sense. Star Trek should never have left LA. That's all I'm saying. The Beyond premiere in 2016 is still one I hear people talking about. Yeah, the San Diego one. But that was at a very big, publicly half accessible thing, and people were in town for San Diego anyway. How close was the Voyager script to your original last draft? Do you mean of Prophecy? Oh, the first draft was nothing like our pitch, because 6 years had gone by, and for one thing, B'Elanna was no longer on the market. She was in with Tom. They were either married or close to it. So the whole bit about B'Elanna falling for the Klingon engineer of the D7 wasn't going to work. So it had to be something else. And that's what the staff did. They updated the idea beyond our concept. So we had the bottle show version. Then we had the big expansive one that Michael wanted to do, that he was itching to do. And basically, it turned into what he made Basics into. It was his swan song when he left active producing and went to being consulting producer on Voyager. But in hindsight, I look back, and the things he was throwing at us that day, the one story conference we did, which is on tape, I was like, and I later on thought, oh, okay. Aliens on a world with their own language, made it into a two-parter. Get more bang for the buck, amortize those costs. Yeah. Speaking of premieres, our episode premiere. I think I have 3 episode premiere pieces. By mail long distance, Eric Stillwell sent us one for yesterday's Enterprise, and then we had ours. And then our friend Bob Gillen, who was Janet's counterpart on DS9, sold a story that became Dr. Bashir, I presume. Oh, Armand Bashir, the James Bond one. And I just found the other day, cleaning things out, I found the postcard invite to that I'll share at some point. That he autographed, of course. Confusing you, Rose. Why isn't Picard on season 3 on our Mum Plus, and will it ever be on our Mum Plus? You talking about this is something besides Paramount Plus that just premiered? Whatever you're talking about, I'm thinking it's because the contract was already in with Prime, and it's going to be 3 seasons, and everything blew up to where it was already. Why jerk it off at the end so they can show the first 2 seasons together? And then eventually it will migrate or double up somewhere else. Contracts. Stuff. Strange news spike a week ago might be from Paramount Plus, showing that Paramountain spot that featured Anson Mount. I think they'll use it as their Super Bowl. Good point. That's all it took. That playoff spot with Anson, which was kind of funny. Did Lower Decks get one too for having Mariner there? I don't know. Thank you, Scott, doing your duty. Is that the Cadet Alice playlist? I wonder, since it's not in the thing. Well, this is what I'm saying. It's not on Paramount Plus because that was the original for global folk. It is for the Americans in Canada, right? But it may eventually migrate over there once the contracts are done. The extent runs out, the time limit runs out. The New York City Picard premiere will be an intimate affair. I think it's charity-based too, and it's a paid ticket, but you're not going. The panel afterwards will be live and recorded online, $25 to see it, and you thought about paying that. There you go. There's your update. Thank you, Dave. Much love for the Nichelle Nichols Foundation. We're just barely off the ground and getting going. Yay. All right. Thank you, Marina. That is the link. I can't copy it. You're throwing things at me without labeling them. Is that the link to the New York premiere event? Maybe. Yeah, Don Lewis is a gem. I had not met her, and I just stopped her for a selfie. No one was recognizing her. The voice actors, no one recognizes them. And at Comic-Con last year, as the event at the 10 Forward pop-up there was ending, we were picking up the goodie bag, and I recognized her. And I said, "Can I get it?" And I think all the voice actors, especially after the first three or four, I think all of them kind of think it's a hoot to be recognized. Anyway, she was very sweet and did a very quick selfie with me. We didn't get to talk but a minute. Actually, we talked a little bit standing in line. Um, so, yes. So, boom, can't wait for this Sunday with Don Lewis. Yay, very good. And this is it. Christoph, you're right. Amazon paid for a chunk of Picard. They won't give up their international priority rights too soon. Then if maybe not then. Thank you, David, for the link there to our Nichelle Nichols event again this Sunday. Hey, Michael. Well, better jumping in later than never. Yay. And another vote for Picard season 3, as if we need to take one. But thank you. Scott just did the math and realized we weren't able to join the LSL panel live. Oh no! Oh no! 11:30 on a Friday. Sorry, Scott. We'll record it for you. Okay. Rose, there's too much. You got Shuttlepod Show, Nichelle Nichols Foundation Sunday, and also brand new on Disney Plus. What do you watch? Well, I know what I'd tell you. At least everything is recorded, right? You can catch it later. At least there's that. But you live in a world where that's a first world problem. Hashtag. And yeah, this is what we're kind of coming around to. A P Plus commercial involving Star Trek this year in the Super Bowl. No trailer. Most people have seen the Anson Mount one by now. Right. We'll see. You're glad, Marina, glad you could snatch good tickets for the advanced screening of Picard in New York City. Can't make it to the LA premiere. Second time that this has happened, but alas. Which, did you get to the Discovery premiere or the Picard season 1? I know that's one thing about the streaming. I didn't even think about that till this now. That's one thing about the streaming world, pandemic or no. The streaming world, suddenly, in the old days, you'd have a pilot, you'd have a premiere, small red carpet because it was TV. And then the rest, then you just had seasons would unspool. There was an event for the 4th season of Enterprise only because they were going all digital, and Sony was sponsoring the cameras and had a sponsor for some kind of a deal, cheaper price. They got a weekly ad in the credits, digital editing and camera systems by Sony. And they had a premiere event, and you had an Enterprise cap, what was Sony on it special. I think I still have mine. I may have put it in the Trekland trunk years ago. That was a special deal. But now, these little 10-episode seasons that you wait a year for, nobody blinks twice about using a premiere and a red carpet as a promotional piece. They spend the money on that somewhere and it was easy in the pandemic. So now we're out of the pandemic. You're having to put overhead costs in again. We'll see if season by season, a live premiere event is worth it after the initial premiere year. If season 2 and 3 and 4 are worth having a season premiere event, if they feel like they get the bang for their buck out of the promotional budget. And there's some Trekland business sense for you. That'd be a good question to ask one of the promo people. But have a good time in New York, Marin. I was hoping you were going to that. You can let us know how it went down. And there you go. Hey, do we have a good group here or not? Huh? Let's see. What now? Is there a specific reason for the Trekland Facebook banner featuring an insectoid Zindi? The Trekland Facebook banner. Is this a joke, sir? Apparently, oh no, yeah, that's a specific reason because I was on that was the finale of season 3, and that was one of the extras Indy that day. I have a ton of pictures from that day, and it was just a great. I was actually on set working and taking notes, and it was getting easy to come in and do work. And when you're editor of the official magazine, it was easy to do. Finally, I had a really good publicist who got it and didn't get all weird and bent out of shape about stuff. And yes, and then she was one of the extras in the finale scene too, which is how much of a fan she was. And now I'm gone blank on her name. Her last name was Garrity or Garriger, and then she got married right after that. Oh, I feel bad now. But she was a sweetheart, and she was one of the extras in the audience scene on the finale, which otherwise has its not great moments. But that's the reason. If it'd been somebody else that was cool looking, they would have been there. That's why. That's me on the left. See, that was the real point of the thing. I have a joke picture. Oh, that's John Jurgens in that. I have a joke picture of him choking me. The standard old school guy in a monster suit Hollywood selfie before selfies had a name. Yes, indeed. Much applause for Kyle Jacobs. Thank you, Kyle, for that you do every week. And there you go for Scott and Kyle. Boom. Larry's talking to him. There you go. I'll post the matching photo that goes with that, okay, sometime. I have over the years. In the old days of the con slideshows, we used to use it a lot for a joke. It was a good laugh slide. Oh, dang. So sorry, Scott. I'm sorry for whatever the appointment is that's had to be scheduled 5 years in advance, but yes. Let's see. Narda, never been to a convention or met any Trek stars in your life except in your dreams. Aw, Narda. Well, the idea that you could come in and join with us now from the outback of Australia, the idea that you can get an internet signal, a Wi-Fi signal, and then be with us like here is awesome. Someday, maybe someday something will get to Perth. I know you're way up from Perth, but I'm just saying, someday something will happen. John X, you're going to make a prediction right now. Picard will be a huge hit, maybe the biggest fan reaction since Discovery Season 1. I hope it's better than the fan reaction to Discovery Season 1. But yeah, you can feel the buzz. But I mean, has it peaked too soon? Is there such a thing? Can that happen? Can the parrots be analyzing that correctly? Have they stoked it too high, too far, too fast? We burned up our kindling. I agree. We need you to make a cameo on the next series, and you could be all kinds of things, Mom. There you go. Which one? There's so many. Discovery, the one-man cosplay puzzle. Oh my gosh. I wondered. Thank you, Dave. I wondered if we'd have some old live support, live drinking game people. And Christoph, you were right there. Okay. That was you on Twitch. See, I have a feeling. But thanks for trying out Twitch then. Can't answer on not yet aired advising. Not details, Mom. It just, well, you're on the payroll. They ought to pay you. If they're paying you, you ought to be doing the work. No double dipping here. No carpetbagging here. Everybody, if you're paid, you pay. You earn your keep. Anandirai, I'm butchering that, I know, is supposed to mean spirit if the wanderer, spirit of the wanderer in Irish. I no longer think it does. Uh, okay. Well, I don't mean in production like it's being secretly filmed. That is not what I meant. I meant that's the way they're leaning, I thought. No, no, no. I'm not saying that there's stages with actors being shot right now. That would have been a whole, people would have been sneakily, socially, you'll know that when they sneakily, socially put the slate boards up. And there'll be a ton more news announcements and things for it. That is not what I said. And that's what they were leaning into. That's what Kurtzman and some of the others have said. Okay, I missed this, but I did catch the word drunkenness. Again, that's what I thought I heard the lean was in the direction of. They sure don't want you to forget it because Alex keeps mentioning it. And this is what, Michael, I think they satisfied. I think this is what happened. Mm-hmm. I said the Kelvin movies, I used to say the Kelvin movies were the best gateway drug Star Trek ever had. That was supposed to be my easily accessible comment and compliment. Oh, true, Linda. Working a hospital during the pandemic was the ultimate low bar. Well, I meant a low bar regarding Star Trek, but I would not disagree with you for 1 nanosecond. Oh, you would like a show about the Romulan kid in the academy, Elnor? Could you imagine the stories about race equality, acceptance, trust, and stereotypes that could be told? Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, could have said the same thing about Nog or Worf in the day, but yes, absolutely. Oh, hi. I can hear your hi all the way here, Anne Marie. Yay. Oh, I am? I'm firing on all thrusters today. What did I do to prompt that, Dave? Oh no. Is a DMC something like to all beef patties, pickles, onions, cheese, lettuce? I think it was actually Narda. To all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. And to show you how I remember in an art class in high school, it was a thing to memorize it backwards. See if I can still do it. And I'm not even looking at yours, which I knew you were dropping a few words. Bun, seed, sesame. Is that what it was? I want to say bun, seed, sesame, sauce special, patties, beef, all two, but I'm leaving words out. Lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions. Bun, seed, sesame, aeon. That's in the middle. And then it ends up with sauce special, patties, beef, all two. Okay, almost. Wow. That was scintillating video, I know. Live streaming for the ages. Or they slap the name out of a comedian's mouth. I missed the setup for that. Are you talking about the groaners in live commentary from a live stream? Yeah. Oh no, the stream almost broke down. Imagine in the 1970 TV, but as long as I hear, oh no, I hope it bounces back. Oh no, I'm breaking up. Boost the matter gang. Did we get there? Really? Maybe that was just a mistake. Oh no. Don Lewis was with Tawny's table at STLV, but was only there for a short bit. Really fun and excited to be there, though. Yes, yes, yes. And yes, absolutely, May. Hearts go out to Turkey. Wow. I had forgotten they had such a massive earthquake in '99. I was watching a flashback about it that was even bigger. Not to downgrade, minimize what's going on today. Oh my gosh. Maybe Paramount Plus accidentally showed an announcement meant Paramount Plus USA only. That could be. That could be. Hi, Helen. You get Picard on Paramount Plus on Sky, included with Sky Movies in the UK. Don't know when they will drop the new series on it, though. Okay. Here we go. This is why I love having global fans. We get into all these intricacies of the hoops they have to jump through. Picard Season 3 will only be on Amazon Prime outside the US. I saw some Amazon Prime branded posting on socials, I thought. Hi, Wade. We are not over the pandemic. I know. I'm with you. I hedge everything I say. There's a spectrum, and waiting for kind of the other shoe to drop. And hi, Wade, by the way. I think you've been with us before, but thanks for jumping up, right? That is a reptilian, not an insectoid. Yes. Oh, did he say it? See, I just went right past it. Yeah, the insectoids were CG. The insectoids and the aquatics were CG. Everybody else was live action. Okay, Glenn, I'll try not to penalize you too much there. Well, again, Rose, I'm just going to say hashtag first world problems. You'll just have to sort it out too. Hey, Susan, in the UK, and it's going to be Amazon Prime as usual. Can't see it going to a Paramount Plus anytime soon. Amazon will probably milk it for all it's got before that happens. Well, there's a contract length, I'm sure, specified, or 1 year past completion of finale or something, or 2 years past it or whatever. Good. Whatever interrupted us, we're back. Yay. Thank you for letting me know, Christoph. Let's see. Okay, everybody jockeying around here for how you're going to watch Picard. Maybe you're focusing on Hoshi too much when watching Enterprise. LOL. Oh well. Let's see. What are you agreeing with me here? Never say never in the Trek universe. Absolutely. Absolutely. Look at Leonard Nimoy 5 different ways. It would be cheaper and easier to fly to the US than to fly to any major place within Australia. Really? Wow. That's an interesting tidbit to know. I'll have to ask some of my other Aussie friends and Portales what's up with that. That's interesting. Well, then, what's stopping you? There's a premiere in 3 days here in LA. Let's see. Oh, Helen, I see this. Michelle Hurd just canceled the cruise. She would have been the only Picard peep on there. I wonder if she's got some work. That's too bad. Yeah, I wondered if you'd catch that, Linda. Second one there. Okay. You can tell who all the LSL veterans are. Yeah, there you go. Bun, seed, sesame, aeon, onions, pickles, cheese, lettuce. Onions, pickles, cheese, lettuce. Yes, that's it. Bun, seed, sesame, aeon, onions, pickles, cheese, sausage, lettuce, sauce special, Patty's beef all too. Because, this is what I got out of high school art class. Well, it'll be there in the full version. Okay, Linda. The Facebook and the live. By the way, everybody, if you know anybody commenting, it would help us if you could hold off somehow, not commenting on the live when we leave it on to get the viewing hours in. It would be great if you could comment in the edited one. I know it's 2 or 3 days later, but or copy and paste your comments over. Oh, YouTube, you're such a pain. Okay. What? Hi, Restream bot. Was there a Restream bot? Oh, I see. What? Really? Okay. Okay. That's interesting. Raptor Kitchen. Hi. Are you just stumbling in, or are you someone we know by another name? That is indeed your real name, Raptor. You'd like to hear the full story for Roddenberry's Klingon JFK story. Hey, Wade, we have that. We're going to get to that in Trek Files. Some of the things for the 70s movies we have tons of paper for, but a lot of them are in chunks and they were never fully produced all the way. There may be story documents, but they're like fragmentary moments of scripts in an extended way, and then it's big. It's hard to chunk it down to our 15-20 minute Trek Files. We need to have a part 1, 2, 3, 4 sequence, and it's something we've been struggling with, but we're going to get to it. But there's versions. You can find it on Memory Alpha, I think. At least a small version. Some of the other books mention it in passing. I don't know if Susan Sackett's TMP book does, but the Lost Years, I'm not sure. But I want to tell it. The end of the chat as we know it, or half an hour to bedtime. Okay. Yeah, well, don't worry. It's gone now. I felt like we were having a 50s flashback there. Was this a Grease Happy Days thing? I don't know. Oh, this is the Big Mac episode. Okay, Linda, I'll be happy to let you name it whatever you want to name it. Okay. And Narda, you're having to go. Well, Narda, when you leave, the party ends. So anyway, everybody, I hope you appreciated or hope you enjoyed those thoughts about premieres, et cetera, and glad you could join us for another Tuesday. Once again, let me just say real quick, if you're watching us later, leave some comments down below on the edited one if you can. That's all cool. But real quick, basically this is last call for the February 23rd. This one is already basically a sellout. The February 23rd has 2 spots in it. If you're going to be in LA or think you can get to LA, let me know quick. And I want to thank, of course, all of our Patreon folk. Once again, there they are. This is the new updated list. Thank you so much, folks. If you'd like to see what it's all about on Patreon, just go to patreon.com/Trekland Live. Very simple. This is not my whole business, but for anybody who wants to come in and support the live streaming into Trekland, that's what you could do. Thank all those folks so much. And once again, the new Trek Files is up with the great, incomparable Dave Blass. And yeah, we kind of dance around the edges of the new Picard a little bit, but mainly about the ways that art folks affect what the writers do. It's not always just cooked up in the room. Sometimes they're the practical end of what things will look like. So, a great 1986 memo from Bob Justman to Gene about the TNG layout that you all know so well on the bridge and what it means for 2022 eyes and 2023 eyes. And yeah, once again, part of a big virtual TrekCon 4 for me this year, starting Thursday at noon with Lolita and Janet, ending at Monday at 1, these are Pacific times, noon on Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 UK time. On Monday, it'll be Terrace and I talking Trek location sites and doing your own tour, some crumbs of help, for from 1 to 2 Pacific, so 4 to 5 Eastern, and 9 to 10 UK time. And then on Thursday, the headline of and Sunday night, the Lappy Awards wrap-up show late night, 9:30 Pacific, I think. But most of all, the thing that's really exciting, well, it's all exciting, but the thing that's cool is we're finally having our reunion, Dr. Trek and Dr. Ali, the real doctor. 11:30 on Friday Pacific, 2:30 Eastern, and 6:30 GMT UK time. Can't wait. It's a 90-minute panel. We're basically going to follow the old life support live. So yeah, we'll have an away mission. I'll have a K3 factor. And if you're not familiar with the terms, go find an old life support and check it out. If nothing else, watch our finale show. It's atypical, but you can find them all on YouTube. That's it, gang. At Larry Nemechek on Twitter and Mastodon. Soon, maybe on Post. And Larry Nemechek's Trekland, where you are right now watching us on YouTube and Facebook. Please like and subscribe on the YouTube. Thanks. It's great seeing so many YouTubers coming in all the time. And on Instagram as well, and portal47.net for all the Star Trek fans who have no idea how much Star Trek they still have no idea about. All right. That will do it for us for another Tuesday. Thank you all so much for being here. Thanks for jumping in. Thanks for all the newbies who got in. Thanks for, I hope we didn't get too drunk today. That was a couple of drinking games there. I didn't realize. But we'll see. We'll see. I know everybody will be tuned to the premiere. Don't let it get you down if you're not there. Just soak it in, and just give thanks to this wonderfulness that otherwise you wouldn't see live, or you would get edited clips. Somebody else is making the decision what you're going to see. And here you are getting a very democratic live stream, small d democratic live stream of what's going on. And then we'll know. We'll see what happens. Next week, the premier charity event in New York will bring some more news and headlines probably. We'll see what's going on by then. And then, of course, finally next week, Thursday and Friday, depending on where you are, the Picard premiere virtual TrekCon 3. I'll be at Galley on Saturday in the middle of all of that. Things are cooking up. The hiatus is about to be over. So, yeah, stay healthy, everybody. Do all the things. Stay woke. Check your sources. And I don't know how you can help not Trek well, everybody.